Hello everybody and thank you for joining me. This is Sierra from Sierra T Designs, and today is this beautiful hot foiled card set that I'm going to share with you. So let's jump right in. So I am going to make mini slimline cards, and I like to cut my cardstock down to 6 by 6. I like my mini slimlines to be 6 inches by 3 inches once scored. And I am going to make 2 of them. So I am going to cut down 2 bases. And I know that that looks like a lot of wasted cardstock, but it doesn't get wasted. I always use it for die cutting images or layering things, or like it always gets used. So I know people have said like they don't like to make mini slimlines because it wastes cardstock, but it doesn't really, because you save it for other things. So I love the mini slimline size. I hope you'll try it if you haven't already. It's a lot of fun. And here you can see I'm just scoring them at the 3-inch mark. I do score on both sides just because this is a very heavyweight cardstock. I use like 110, 120 pound bases. So I scored both sides and then folded over and reinforced the fold with my Teflon bold folder. And we are going to hot foil on this card. So I have a piece of Simon Says Stamp 120 pound smooth cardstock here, because I have heard from I didn't hear it from her, I watched her video, Yana Smakula, that this cardstock hot foils beautifully. So we're going to try it because I had some in my stash. So I brought out my foil and my foil plate. This is the Pink Fresh Small Butterflies hot foil plate. And I'm just kind of aiming to measure out how much foil I actually need, because it is quite a few butterflies. And I have the quick trimmer here. I just find it a lot easier to cut foil. I find when I cut it with scissors, I always cut on a funny angle and I end up wasting a bunch. And I don't like to waste in my my craft space as much as possible. So I found that this was a pretty good investment for when I hot foil. And hot foiling is a lot of fun if you haven't tried it. I suggest it if you can get your hands on a machine. I know they can be a little bit pricey, but Christmas is maybe a good time to ask for one if you want one for your stash. So I have the Glimmer hot foil machine here, and you can see I already have it heated up and it's flashing. So I have to wait until it's finished flashing, and then we're going to put it through. I use my Big Shot for this just because I actually don't think it would fit in my Gemini regardless, but because I know my plates for this, for my Big Shot, so I just use my Big Shot for it. And I go forward once and then backwards once, just to press the foil into the cardstock really well, and then I will move it back onto the Glimmer machine. And you're going to see that I'm going to drop the plate. The plate is hot here, right? And it's quite a big plate, so I'm struggling to kind of get it off of the Glimmer machine and onto the rubber mat that comes with the machine to have your hot foil pieces sit on while they're hot. So I kind of have to drag it around my mat a little bit. I'm a little unpracticed in the Glimmer hot foil system. I don't get to use it as often as I should. But here you go. You can see that it foiled beautifully. I don't even have overfoiling. So, I mean, that's just amazing. So I did bring in some Copic markers to color in my butterflies. I have 3 colors here. I have RV11, R83 and R85, and that's what I'm going to use to color them. And I'm only going to show you this first butterfly. I love the look of pink and gold, and though the foil is called polished brass, honestly to me it looks very gold. So that's kind of how I choose to use it. So that's kind of why I chose pink. But by any means, you could have colored these several different colors. You could have colored them in a rainbow and they would have been stunning. I love the look of pink and gold together. So that's kind of what I was thinking. And then I always go from lightest to darkest and darkest to lightest, just to blend through my colors. These are so small that you don't really need 3 colors for this, but this is how I Copic color. I forget sometimes you don't need to use all the shades for everything, but I think that it turned out really pretty, and I love how these cards came together. I know they're a little different. We're doing the Christmas series on Mondays on my channel, and I've just now started to do Thursday videos as well, and for Thursday videos, I just thought it'd be really fun to do whatever tickles my pickle. Like, I had these plates and I hadn't used them yet, and I really wanted to use them on cards, so that's what we're doing. Like, it's just gonna be whatever I feel like making on Thursdays is going to be what we make. And then I brought in C9 just to color the bodies. This is my preferred dark color. You could absolutely bring in black if that was something you prefer. This is just a cool gray. It's a very dark, cool gray. I just like the tonal effect of a gray versus a black, but either one would look stunning. This is just my preference. And once they were all colored in, I'm going to cut them out with the matching die. And isn't this awesome? Like, you get, what is that, 9? Is it 9? Yep. No, it's 10. Sorry. You get 10 butterflies out of this set. Like that's just, no, it's 9. I'm lying to you. It's 9. You get 9 butterflies out of this whole set. And I hot foiled once and I die cut once. And like, that's just amazing. It's just such a great set. I also have the large butterflies. So look out for that. I'll have a card coming with those hopefully soon as well with foiling because I love it. And I don't buy the stamps. You absolutely could have the stamps and the stencils. There's all sorts of things. I only bought the hot foil plate and the die. Because I figured like I can color them with the hot foil. So that's kind of what I ended up doing. And then here I'm just cutting them a matte. So this is the same cardstock I used for the foiling piece. Yeah, this is the Simon Says Stamp 120 because I knew that it would emboss beautifully. So I'm going to bring in my favorite embossing folder and I'm going to emboss these little panels. But I also cut out a mat of this gold cardstock. See, these are all pieces I had left from other projects. I just put them back in the packaging with the full sheets and then that I just save them for when I want to use them for something else. And now you could absolutely die cut something out of the center of these and save some cardstock, but I didn't have anything to die cut at the time and I really wanted to finish this video because I love how these cards turned out. So I don't, but you absolutely could so that you don't waste any of this gold cardstock. And then here you can see I have the Crystal Distortion embossing folder from Simon Says Stamp. I am crazy in love with this embossing folder. It's my favorite. And I just run it through my Big Shot as well. Excuse me. And then I'm just going to kind of set it above the gold cardstock and just kind of look at how this is going to come together. Now, this panel is slightly bigger than the embossing folder. So I do have a very small line at the bottom that is not embossed. I honestly don't mind it. I don't even think you really notice. You guys will have to let me know if it's blaringly obvious that it's there, but I don't even feel like you really notice it. So and then I have a fight with my magnets because they got stuck together. But I don't think you even really notice it. So I left it. You could trim it down if you don't like it, or maybe try to hide it a different way, maybe with some gold cardstock or something. But I left it. I don't even think it's that noticeable. So you let me know if it's easy to see. And I am going to heat emboss a sentiment. I just have a little thank you from the Simon Says Stamp Look for the Rainbow stamp set. I like this thank you. I like how kind of whimsical it looks. So I'm going to heat emboss that with Ranger's Gold Super Fine Detail Embossing Powder. This is kind of my preferred gold embossing powder for sentiment specifically because it's so fine that it doesn't seem to matter how small my sentiment is. It embosses beautifully. And then here I'm just going to emboss it for you. I had to show this because I love watching embossing powder melt. It's probably one of my favorite things ever. And the metallics especially. I just love watching metallic embossing powder melt. And then I'm going to trim them down just to be little sentiment kind of, well, it's not really a strip. It's more of just like a little rectangle because the sentiment's not that long. But I do trim it down really close to the sentiment. Now, you could absolutely have matted this on gold as well. And I've done that in other cards and that would look stunning. I chose not to in this specific card, but you could. It would help it differentiate from the background more. But I like that it kind of was a little more subtle. I want the butterflies to be the focal in this. I didn't really want the sentiment to pull focus, even though it is stunning and it is gold. I wanted it to go with the card, but not pull focus. So I am also going to adhere it flat to the background. And I did bring in some Darice thin foam strips just to adhere the butterflies, and I'm only cutting out little pieces. Sorry, I get out of frame a little bit there. I cut out thin pieces that are just going to go behind the body of the butterflies because I want them to stand out. I want them to have a little depth and dimension. That's one of my favorite adds to a card is some depth and dimension. So I'm going to put this little strip just behind the body, and then we're going to kind of fluff up the wings after everything's adhered. Now, you're going to see me struggle a little bit with adhering the butterflies. I don't know that they're straight, to be honest with you guys, in the end. And I don't know that I really care, to be honest. I think the card is stunning. And I mean, it's a handmade card. It's not meant to be perfect. I don't think perfect is all that achievable with a handmade card. But I mean, if that's something that bothers you, you could take a ruler and kind of mark a center point, and then you'd have a better chance at lining it. That doesn't really concern me, so I wasn't worried. And I have some Barely Art glue here, and I like to adhere down my panel first. Because it is a 3D embossing folder, it's going to struggle to stick to my metallic cardstock. So I put it on, line it up, and then I put my Misti on top of it just for a little bit of weight to hold it there until the glue catches and it adheres. And then I am going to adhere down my sentiment, like I said, straight flat onto the card. You could add a little more dimension to this if you wanted to. I wasn't worried about it. I just kind of tried to eyeball line it up. And again, you could bring out a ruler and try harder to line it up straight if that concerns you. I don't really mind. I mean, I can't, nobody I've ever given a card to has been like, oh, this isn't straight, or oh, this isn't, perfect. Like, there's nobody I would send a card to that would say something like that, first off. But second off, I think people just are like shocked that you even created such a beautiful thing out of a blank piece of paper, that they're usually just excited to get something. So at least I know I am when people send me handmade cards. So I'm just excited, and then I collect them and keep them, and I look at them and I'm inspired by them, and I love receiving people's cards. So so I just adhered my butterfly down, and it's not quite perfect. And honestly, I'm like, nope, it's down. She's going to be the way she is because it's down, we're adhered. And I'm not going to ruin the card over a slightly not straight butterfly. It's like I'm not that finicky about it. So they're not perfectly straight, but I don't even know if you can tell, because once you fluff up the wings, they add so much more dimension that it's a little difficult to even know that it's not perfectly straight. And then I'm going to adhere the other two. I do bring in my reverse tweezers just so that I can see the alignment a little better without my fingers in the way. But you could put them down, and you can put them down flat. I mean, I only did this so I could pop up the wings. So here you can see that I hold the center down with my finger, and then I just fluff up the wings to create some dimension on the butterfly wings. But like I said, you could totally have these flat and it would still be a stunningly beautiful card. Completely up to you. And because I can't ever have enough sparkle, I had to bring in a Spectrum Noir glitter pen. And because these were colored with Copics, the ink won't move, as it is an alcohol ink, not a water-based ink, right? So if you had colored these with Distress ink or Distress Oxide or a watercolor, of course the color would shift, and you'd be struggling a little bit more to kind of get the color to stay. I don't have that concern because this is alcohol ink and it's not going anywhere. But yeah, so I'm just going to color on the background, or onto the butterflies there with my glitter pen. I'm going to hold it up and show it to you so you can see it in all its glory. And then I'm going to show you the cards close up at the end here, because they're done. I did consider adding some gems. I didn't. I think that they're stunning in their own right and don't need them. But you could absolutely add some pearls or some gems if you wanted to. And those leftover 3 butterflies I put inside of the cards. So these are the cards I have for you guys for this Thursday video. What do you guys think? I'd love to know. I'd love if you'd consider subscribing, leave me a comment, leave me a like, and come back and check out other videos I have. I'd love to hear from you. So thank you guys so much for stopping by. I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye for now.